If I can plunge into 42-degree water and feel like I'm going to die, I can do anything. That is exactly the thought that I had run through my mind while suffering through one of my many cold plunges. At the time, I was in the process of going through a situation with my ex-husband. It was nothing major, but my mind thought so. You know how we like to over-exaggerate in our minds? Well, at least I do. I won't put that thought in your head, but I'm sure you do as well. So the thought in the cold plunge changed my entire experience and my approach to emotional resilience. And today I'm sharing how controlled cold exposure using the Wim Hof Method can change your relationship with discomfort, build unshakable inner security, and help you become content in your own skin. Whether you're interested in finding a relationship or simply just embracing solitude. Welcome to Intentionally Single, Seeking But Not Settling. I'm Lauren Jean, your host, integrative wellness coach, and hypnotist. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and mind-body strategies to help you live life intentionally single and content while remaining open to possibilities. Unlike typical dating advice, we focus on personal fulfillment to attract genuine love. Join us to transform unconscious patterns and embrace your intentionally single lifestyle. Stop feeling deflated by the dating world and start prioritizing the most important relationship, the one with yourself. Welcome back, Gen X warriors. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. If you have not yet subscribed to the show, please do that in your podcast app, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be the Google Play Store or Apple or Spotify, anywhere. Please subscribe. It really does help. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the episode. So, the first time that I stepped into that water, which was 42 degrees, by the way, freezing, at the float place in Patchogue, Long Island, that's where I go, my body went to complete panic mode. Like, oh my goodness, I'm going to die in here. That's exactly what it felt like. Every single nerve ending screamed that I was dying. I can picture it now like I was in it at that moment. It kind of felt like, you know, those little cartoons that have body parts that are screaming? Like, have you ever watched the Amoeba Sisters on YouTube? I watched that for a couple of my science classes while in school, and it's got these cartoon characters of random parts of the body, like cells, for example, has them with faces and hair. And that's kind of how I imagine this happening. Like, my body was alive and every single part of my body was screaming. My breath went into panic in my chest. I felt it. My skin was burning with cold, and every single primal instinct told me to get the F out immediately. But I stayed. And I breathed through the uncomfortable freezing sensations all over my body. For those 11 minutes, I go based on peer review articles, and the science says 11 minutes a week, which I now know that you're supposed to break up throughout the week, not in one shot like I did that day. So that felt like an eternity. But I consciously chose to suck up the pain, even though my body screamed for me to get out. I have the type of personality that if someone or something is telling me I can't do it, I am going to do it. So that's really what happened that day. It's not like I wanted to stay in for the 11 minutes, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So as Wim Hof teaches, I focused on breathing, and something really amazing happens. As I learned to control my breathing, I could feel my nervous system beginning to calm, which was truly incredible. This is the first time that I was actually paying attention to that, the sensations and what was happening in my body. Now, the panic didn't disappear, but I created space around it. I found my grounding by breathing in the tank and then using my mind's power to focus. The place I go for cold plunges has this tub with an LED light at the bottom, and the light transitions between colors, these really bright, beautiful colors. So I would just focus on the light as I would breathe, and I would just watch, and I would do the Wim Hof breathing as I was paying attention to the light. So it really helped the time pass, and I was able to focus and stay in. when I finally got out, I was shivering, but I had this exhilarating feeling. And I had this crystal clear realization. If I could voluntarily stay in these conditions that felt like death and come out stronger and incredibly energized, I thought, what other impossible, seemingly challenges could I face? What emotional discomfort was I avoiding that were keeping me from growing? Because I'm always wanting to grow and thrive and learn. If I'm comfortable, I'm not the type of person who thrives in comfort. I do the opposite. I just start to feel kind of sad and down when I'm comfortable. So, this experience, among many others while cold plunging, was so transformative that I decided in one of my classes, I can't remember which one, I decided that I was going to focus on a research paper on the Wim Hof Method. Oh, that's right. It was my neuroscience class. Actually have it right here in front of me in my notes. So that was about 2 years ago. I studied the neurobiological mechanisms and discovered how this extreme practice actually creates measurable changes in our stress response system. Now, ask me what made me want to jump into a freezing cold tub with this freezing water. Well, I've been testing different methods to improve my stress response for many years. And I enjoy using myself as a test subject and then sharing my experiences just like on this podcast. I can't keep this information to myself because the importance of emotional resilience and happiness is too important not to share with you. So, for cold plunging, I've always enjoyed a different type of challenge that's not in the mainstream. Cold plunging is now everywhere, but when I started it, even before I wrote this paper, and even before I started my very first cold plunge, it was still pretty new on social media and within my peer group. Now, this topic is especially relevant to us Gen Xers. Do you remember when we used to handle discomfort with ease? And in fact, it was just an everyday part of life. Like, we didn't know really how to be so comfortable. We did in many other ways, but like, for example, camping in the rain instead of like a hotel room or instead of a trailer, taking road trips without AC, or maybe some cars didn't even have AC. And another example is standing in line for concert tickets for hours. I actually remember getting my first tickets to a Green Day concert. I had to walk, it was probably about 3 miles in the rain and wind to get these tickets to go. I actually had to go to a Ticketmaster location to buy physical tickets. Now, that walk was not comfortable. It was totally not. But I thrived in it. And when I got those tickets, I felt so proud of myself because I paid for them with my own money. I walked there, I waited in the rain, and I got these tickets. And that was when I was 16 years old. So that was in around 1996. So things like this. There were also no Wi-Fi. There was no cell phones. And now the thought of even having mild social awkwardness can make us run back to home where it's nice and cozy and comfy. Our comfort muscles have atrophied, and with them, our capacity for meaningful growth and even connection. Did you know that voluntary physical discomfort through cold exposure creates this neurobiological change that directly enhances your emotional resilience and can help break the comfort patterns that are keeping you feeling stuck? That is exactly what I'm going to get to on today's show. So, when you jump into cold water, your body basically freaks the F out in a really good way. It pumps out a chemical called norepinephrine. That's like a natural Adderall or speed for your brain. It makes you feel more focused and helps control your emotions better. When I was doing my research paper, I found this information, and it said that cold water can boost norepinephrine by 200 to 300%. That is huge. Now, the Wim Hof breathing method is just as important. When you do those deep breaths, you're basically giving your vagus nerve a workout. I suggest you go to YouTube and look up Wim Hof breathing method. and you can actually do the method. He's got some really great videos on there. He also actually has them on Apple Music. I found them one day on there. So you can find this method anywhere. Just search Wim Hof. So the vagus nerve is this giant nerve that connects your brain to all of your organs. It's like a chill out button for your entire body. The stronger your vagus nerve, the better you can handle stress of all kinds, physical, emotional, mental, you name it. The craziest part is in studies with Wim Hof, they actually injected people with stuff that could make them sick. So it was an endotoxin. I don't remember the exact name of it, but this was a study. So of course, with their permission, and the people who used his method did not get sick. Their bodies actually fought it off just by using their minds. Scientists and medicine used to think this was impossible, that you couldn't have control over your autonomic nervous system, which is everything that's automatic in your body. Now, this matters for your everyday life because the exact same brain circuits that can handle physical stress, like cold water, also handle emotional stress, like dating anxiety or fear of rejection. So when you strengthen one, you automatically strengthen the other. They work hand in hand together as a team. The mistake many of us are making is creating comfortable lives. Of course, it's natural and often the reward of decades of hard work. We want to make ourselves comfortable, which is why a lot of the times dating seems like pointless because we're so comfortable in our lives already. And the mistake is believing that comfort leads to contentment. Our brains and our bodies evolved for occasional stress and a good challenge. When you think about that and remember a challenge that you had, I bet you enjoyed it and it even felt good after you achieved it. We have unintentionally weakened our physical and emotional resilience systems by deleting and getting rid of all of discomfort out of our lives. We would rather be comfortable, but that's not always for the best for our growth and our health. Many of you have reached out, and this is me too, I've done this. We've canceled plans. The moment it's time to change out of comfortable clothes, drive somewhere unfamiliar, or even somewhere familiar, or engage in being vulnerable, of meeting someone new. Like I said, I have done this. I am no different from everyone else. The immediate comfort of staying home consistently wins against the potential discomfort of meeting new people or even just leaving the house. And who wants to be uncomfortable? Not a lot of people, but I do now. If you've been listening to the show for a while, and even before I changed the show's direction, you might remember that I work full-time at a job. And this job, it's very easy to get comfortable and do the same thing every single day, which is why I have asked my boss to challenge me and give me things he knows that I might not want to do. He does a very good job at that. He gives me things he knows I don't want to do. And he constantly challenges me in a good way. And I do fight back. We have a very good relationship, but I do fight back. And then I realize, hey, this is what's good for me. I need to do this because I want to keep myself sharp and always learning. And I don't want to be bored. You might think I'm crazy, but hear me out first. And then you can make the decision for yourself to see if what I'm saying is worth a shot for you. Always go based on what you think you need for yourself. I'm just here to share my stories, my opinions, and the science. Comfort might feel like self-care in the moment, but over time, it creates this cycle of isolation that becomes harder and harder to break. We can get so comfortable that our whole lives become predictable and boring. I actively avoid this now. Your comfort zone shrinks more each time you choose the familiar over the challenging, which is why I have asked my boss to give me things that he knows that I don't want. It pushes me out of my comfort zone. And I now actively do this myself. It could be something as simple as taking a different way to work, or getting up 20 minutes earlier in the morning, or driving home differently, or taking a different path in your office building. Something simple like that. Instead of having lunch inside, you have lunch outside. Comfort seeking isn't just laziness or a lack of motivation. It's actually hardwired in our biology. Good to know, right? This is part of who we are. Our brains are designed to conserve energy and avoid potential threats. In our ancestral environment, unnecessary risk could be fatal, so we evolved to prefer safety and to conserve our resources when possible, which is why we like to do things that are easy. But today's environment is so different. The threats we avoid, like social awkwardness, hard conversations, new environments, they're not actually dangerous. But our nervous system can't always tell the difference between social discomfort and physical danger. We have to consciously be aware of our situation and decide what we want to do. There is this cultural messaging that reinforces this confusion. We constantly are told to focus on self-care, but the popular understanding of self-care has morphed from genuine taking care of ourselves into looking for comfort. Meanwhile, decades of establishing our identities have made us more resistant to change as we've invested heavily in becoming who we are now. The cost of this comfort is huge, but often we don't even see it. The research shows that comfort zone restriction is linked with decreased life satisfaction over time, even as a short-term comfort increases. When we constantly avoid discomfort, so doing what's easy, we reinforce neural pathways that catastrophize normal challenges. Our nervous system becomes hypersensitive, turning these minor stressors into major threats when they're just not. So we make things to be more than they actually are. This heightened sensitivity makes us even less likely to take a chance. And it creates this downward spiral of avoidance. Beyond missed opportunities for connection, this type of pattern has significant health implications. Our immune, cardiovascular, and stress response mechanisms need regular challenges to function at their top to help us stay healthy. Without them, we become physiological fragile, and as we even feel temporarily safer in our comfort bubbles because of all of this. And I think the most serious is this pattern disconnects us from our deeper selves, which is what this podcast really gets into. The quality we admire in ourselves, which is resilience, courage, growth, put your own in. It can only occur when we're faced with challenges. By avoiding discomfort, we prevent the exact experiences that would allow us to know our true capabilities. This is where the approach of Wim Hof becomes so powerful. What if we could directly train our physiological stress response systems through controlled exposure to physical discomfort, like cold? Wouldn't that be something to explore and see what it could do for you? Again, this is something I've been doing for years. Can you imagine what it can do for you? Doing uncomfortable things in life can help you improve your ability to take on more. And eventually, your tolerance increases so the hard things don't affect you as much. It's like my experience in the cold. Right now, cold doesn't feel freezing anymore. It's just a sensation. I can handle cold so much more, and my body temperature regulates, so I'm never really cold anymore. It feels like invigorating. It feels almost relaxing in a way. My neuroscience research paper looked at the Wim Hof Method, and it shows that it creates amazing changes in the body's response to stress. I am fascinated with the stress response system and all the benefits we can create on our own for better health outcomes. We just want to feel good. Through specific breathing techniques and cold exposure, you can achieve this superior control over systems previously thought to be beyond any kind of conscious influence. Like I said before, the autonomic nervous system and the innate immune response. The Wim Hof Method is a powerful tool that can transform your relationship with discomfort. It works through 3 core principles, which are specialized breathing techniques, cold exposure, and developing a mindset of focus and willpower. Each element alone offers incredible benefits, but together they create this almost synergistic effect that can significantly enhance your emotional resilience. Understanding and practicing this method can be a game changer in your personal development journey. The reason this approach works so effectively for building emotional resilience is that it creates measurable changes in your neurochemistry. Now, in my research paper, I discovered several key mechanisms to this method. First, you have cold exposure, which triggers a norepinephrine surge, which I mentioned earlier, which improves focus, attention, and your emotional regulation. Again, I repeat things a lot because I really want you to take this information in. So if you've heard this before earlier, just listen, take it in, and I really want you to understand. So, like I said, the cold exposure triggers norepinephrine, helps you improve focus, attention, and your emotional regulation. And the studies that I found showed that cold water immersion can increase blood levels of this stuff, norepinephrine, by 200 to 300%. Next is the deep breathing techniques. Activate the vagus nerve, which is the superhighway of your parasympathetic nervous system, and it attaches or it connects everything in your body, all of your organs, and it's responsible for your rest and digest state. The vagal tone improvement has been directly linked to improved emotional regulation and stress resilience. I find this fascinating because I am all about emotional regulation and stress resilience. So this find for me was absolutely incredible. Okay. The third thing is repeated cold exposure has been shown to reduce cortisol output over time, which is a stress hormone. Since chronically elevated cortisol is linked to anxiety and emotional reactivity, reducing it creates a more stable emotional foundation. Now, most incredibly, the research conducted with Wim Hof and others trained in his method showed that they could consciously influence their innate immune response. Again, something previously thought to be impossible. The participants were injected with endotoxins that normally cause flu-like symptoms, but they suppressed the inflammatory response using the method. So, what can this do and what can this mean for your emotional life? The same neural pathways that control your response to physical stress also handle emotional stress. By strengthening these pathways through voluntary physical discomfort, you're simultaneously building your capacity to handle emotional challenges. My own journey with the Wim Hof method has transformed far more than just my tolerance for cold. After that first 42-degree plunge, I noticed subtle shifts how I responded to emotional discomfort. Not much bothers me anymore. I'm very proud to say I have practiced this for a long time, and not just through the Wim Hof method, many other methods as well. And sometimes it's hard to get people to understand that what I achieved is available to them too. So I really want to let you know that this is possible. It could be a journey, it could be a lot of work to get to this point where you can just let a lot of things go, but it is so worth it. When I found myself anxious about appearing in court with my ex, I recognized the same physiological signals that appeared in the cold water, like I had a rapid heartbeat, constricted breathing, racing thoughts. But instead of being overwhelmed by the sensations and the thoughts, I had an understanding for working with them. I applied the same breathing technique and the mindset I'd used in the cold plunge. I was still anxious, but I was able to manage the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions, and I could remain calm. So it's like the thoughts were there, but I was able to keep myself under control. I was able to regulate my emotions. Even more important was how this practice changed my approach to relationships. Huge. Like many of you, I've created that life that perfectly reflects my personality. My space is arranged just so my routine is finely tuned. The thought of disrupting this comfort for the high risk, low reward of possibly meeting someone often felt overwhelming and really pointless. But the cold exposure practice became a reminder that I can handle discomfort, that it won't destroy me and might actually enhance my life. Like I said, I enjoy trying things that I know I don't want to do. I found myself more willing to start conversations that matter, to really connect with people, to express my needs and my boundaries that I used to keep hidden. And I can stay present in emotionally challenging moments rather than retreating to safety or hiding. I can even speak up now to those who I used to hold back because of fear of their response. And what surprised me most was discovering this wasn't just about tolerating discomfort. It was about finding a new kind of comfort in my own resilience, being confident in myself. Knowing that I can handle extreme physical discomfort has given me a profound security that nothing on the outside could do for me, relationship status included. It can provide or it could take away. It's up to you and how you see it. Now, getting into the last part of this podcast for today, I want to discuss an essential truth that often gets lost in discussing comfort zones and growth. The goal of expanding your capacity for discomfort is not about finding partnership or pleasing others. It is about creating freedom of choice for yourself. When your nervous system can handle a wider range of sensations and emotions without going into fight, flight, or freeze, you make decisions from a place of clarity rather than fear. You choose relationships because they enhance your life, not because you're afraid of being alone. You maintain boundaries because they serve your well-being, not because you're afraid of being vulnerable. This is especially important for us Gen Xers who have spent decades creating that reflect our true selves. The cold exposure practice isn't asking you to dismantle your identity. It's actually allowing you to expand it by challenging artificial limitations. What if genuine contentment isn't found in perfect comfort, but in knowing that you can handle extreme discomfort? What if the most secure relationship isn't with someone who never triggers your defenses, but with yourself, knowing you can regulate your own system when triggered? Interesting thought. This internal security becomes the foundation for all external choices. Whether you ultimately choose partnership or solitude becomes a genuine choice rather than a reaction to fear. So, as you experiment with cold exposure, I really hope you do, remember that the true transformation happens not in the shower, or the ice bath, or the cold plunge, but in the moments afterwards when you realize I can voluntarily face physical sensations that feel like death but aren't. I gain perspective on emotional sensations that feel catastrophic but aren't. That's the security within that no external circumstance, relationship status included, can provide or take away. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, you know someone struggling with that same comfort zone conflict, because so many of us do. Someone who's created a perfectly beautiful life but might be feeling a bit trapped by it. I'd be so grateful if you'd share this episode with them. It might be exactly what they need to hear right now. The beauty of the Wim Hof Method is its simplicity, in my opinion. You can start with just 15 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower tonight or tomorrow. Use the breathing technique that I shared with you. You can find Wim Hof on YouTube or, like I said, Apple Music, and I'm sure he's other places. He's got some guided breathing that you can use. Notice how your body responds, not just during, but especially after. That post-exposure feeling of aliveness and calm is your neurochemistry shifting in real time. Then carry that embodied resilience into one small emotional risk. Maybe it's initiating a conversation you've been avoiding, expressing a need you've kept hidden, or simply staying present in a moment you'd usually escape through any kind of distraction. Remember, it's not about punishing yourself with discomfort. It's about expanding your capacity for life experiences while remaining secure with yourself. It is about creating freedom of choice rather than remaining stuck in patterns of avoidance. I would really love to hear your thoughts on this technique and this episode. Please share your insights, your questions, your breakthroughs on Instagram at the Girl with the Vine Tattoo. Use hashtag Cold Comfort Zone or email me directly through the link in the show notes. Your experience might inspire someone else to take their first cold plunge into emotional growth. I have some important news that I want to share with you before we end. Today's show will be the season 1 finale. I'll be taking a break until sometime in June or July when I'll return in season 2, packed with fresh insights and some even more strategies for finding contentment, whether single or seeking partnership. I'm starting school again in May, and the summer semester is concentrated and intense. So I'm going to give myself some grace to ease into the semester without having to create episodes and overwhelm myself. I have learned this very well. I need to step back and just let the ideas marinate, write the episodes so that I will be well prepared when it's time to release. During the break, I'm going to be developing some new ideas and content based on your feedback and questions. So please keep them coming. I can't wait to share what's next with you when we return in June or July. Remember, if you can plunge into 42-degree water, like I did, and feel like you're going to die, but come out stronger, what other things that seem impossible might you be capable of? Please, please, please share this episode, reach out, connect with me. And also, throughout everything in your entire life, relationships, please keep your heart open to possibilities. And I'll see you in June or July. Bye for now.